What's going on, guys? So once again, you are joining me out at our brand new 2024 Forest River Surveyor Legend 240 BHLE travel trailer. Now, again, this is a collaboration unit, so the folks are at Forest River Surveyor Division and my channel are collaborating together on this, and they gave me an outstanding deal to get one of their travel trailers. It's by far not their most extravagant. It's definitely what I would consider to be the typical type of travel trailer most families would be looking at buying for themselves. So, big shout out to the folks over at Forest River Surveyor Division, and we're going to do an interesting project. So if you've been following my videos on this specific trailer, you probably realize that the two big humps up top are two AC units on an RV that should never have two AC units. The size of this RV would really only dictate that it needs one air conditioning unit, and probably only like a 10,000 BTU unit. But Surveyor puts a 15,000 BTU air conditioning unit on top, and for me, the one request I had of this new Surveyor was that they throw two 15,000 BTU air conditioning units on top. Now, this is not for the purpose of seeing if you really need two, because we know for this size of floor plan, considering there's really no dividers between the rooms and it's relatively short, that only one AC is more than enough to cool this unit down, even when it's really hot outside. But when, you guys saw how hot it got here this last summer, where we were getting over 110 degrees, that's before the heat index. We had like 112 degree days with 124, 125 degree heat index. That's really where one air conditioning unit might be able to handle it for a unit this small, but I really wanted to experiment and see if two of them could really get the temperature down to a point to where it's really cold inside of the RV, even when it's extraordinarily hot outside. Now, you can probably imagine it's not a very hot day. Today is like 61 degrees here in South Texas. We have a cold front here, and it's really a great opportunity to work in the RV, not really needing to enjoy the air conditioner, which is nice because I don't really want to be feeding power to this thing if I don't have to on a day where it's really nice and cool. That said, there is a modification we're going to have to make to this RV because there was a little bit of a communication breakdown, mainly on my part, with trying to explain to them how I wanted these ACs set up. And we're going to take a look at that today, and we're going to make a quick fix to it. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay, let's get on board the 240 BHLE Asdel sidewalls. If you haven't seen my full tour of this unit, you really need to go back and check it out because it's absolutely beautiful. They've done such a great job. I have an air conditioning vent down here, and you can see the AC unit up there already kind of taken apart, even though it's not. I just basically dropped that down and the wires tuck underneath there. So we have the inside portion of the Furrion 15,000 BTU air conditioning system right there. And then we have the front unit right here. You can see they're only about 7 feet apart from each other. So they're very close to each other. And again, you're never going to get this floor plan with two ACs. It's not even an option. It comes with one AC, 15,000 BTU standard. This is the one request we had from a collaboration, was to throw a second one on because they typically would have a vent up here. So we're like, you know what, let's throw it in there. Let's see if we can freeze this thing out. Well, the challenge here, and they called me about this, and they said, you know what, JD, we can put two thermostats side by side, like right here, and you can independently control both of them, but we feel as if you want to use this for how a thermostat is supposed to work, where you essentially set it and then it turns on when it gets to that temperature, it's not going to work real efficiently because literally it's right in front of this AC, which dumps the air directly out. This is a non-ducted AC unit, so we don't have ducting going throughout the ceiling here, and you'll get false readings which might cause this AC to either kick on or off unintentionally. So we told them, no, we'll just do direct control over it. We don't need to have a thermostat connected to it. And again, there was a little bit of a communication breakdown, mainly on my part. And what they had done is they literally wired this one into the primary thermostat. So they're both linked together through the same thermostat. And that's not going to work for me for how I want to test it. So once I called them and I told them, what I saw, and this isn't really how I envisioned it, they said, you know what, let's get you the inner panel that you need so you can make the modification and have the direct controls directly on the bottom of this AC unit, like a lot of smaller RVs have it. Now, what they did do is they turned off the breaker box in here for the second AC. So when we got it, the breaker was off, so the second AC won't come on right now unless we turn the breaker back on. But again, we kind of lucked out here because this gives us some opportunity to do some content on this as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this cover right here, which should be relatively simple, and we're going to replace it with the cover that has the manual controls up top, which we already received in. And I think this should be a very, very simple transition. Now, part of this is understanding that all these cables right here are for the thermostat, and I think it's actually marked. Yeah, you can see two wall thermostat. So all of this is going to be disconnected. We'll probably just pull the wires out from the side going into the AC and leave the sides going to the actual thermostat capped off, which is really nice to be able to use these awesome little connectors here that simply flip up. These things are expensive. So when you think about what goes into an RV, these aren't your simple crimps. These aren't your simple, twist connectors. These are actually pretty dang expensive. And I think anybody who does 12-volt electronics realize that these aren't cheap. But they have those going in. For us to disconnect the AC is really just that one plug right there. And I believe that our 110 power right here is going to be routed in a way that we can easily get to it as well. And then we'll have to just disconnect the thermostat right here. So we can go ahead and do that real quick. I'll just go ahead and pull these wires out. And you can pop these caps up like this. And then once we get it all disconnected, I'll come back through and make sure that we cap off the ones going to the thermostat inside. All right, so we have everything disconnected right there. The thermostat is no longer tied to this unit anymore. This all goes into this piece right here. And we're going to go ahead and drop this down out of the ceiling. Okay, so I've removed the two caps right here that cover up the Phillips head. And there's only 4 Phillips head that hold this panel on. So I may need to get a longer extension bit to get into this one, which I think I will. Okay, longer bit. Shouldn't be any problem. I'm going to take these two out without holding the camera. Okay, so I've removed these two, and I've removed these two, and it still stays on because back here you can see these little clips right here. There's one on each side. Once you pop that out slightly, the whole top should be able to kind of come down. I know this because the new cover has those same clips there. All right, so we've removed the inside cover. Now, the new cover is going to have controls on here, so I'll have control knobs to be able to make my adjustments on the new cover. Old cover does not. Next thing I'm going to do is remove this piece right here. So we're going to take this screw out, we're going to take this screw out, and probably this screw out. And we'll see what happens when we do that. We have 2 more right here, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me go take a look at the new one and see what it looks like. Okay, so I have the new one here in front of me, and it is on this metal ring, which I'll have to remove, I believe. Maybe not. So we have our controls here. We have our plug right there. We have our ground, and this is where our power goes in. Now, yeah, we will have to disconnect 110 because it all goes through this specific box right here. So I'm going to take the screws off. I may just need to swap the box out. I don't think there's going to be any need for me to take the rest of this off because this is the new cover, and you can see how the 2 holes kind of go into where the return air filter is. So instead of this continuing all the way across and this all being a filter, you have these 2 right here. So let's go ahead and get this unscrewed. Should just be maybe 3 screws. It looks like really only 2 screws. So the 2 on the sides. Okay, so I've removed the same box, or at least taken the same 2 screws out, and to access my 110 cable or 120, I'm going to loosen these 2 screws. Be sure your RV is disconnected from shore power and you have the breaker turned off. I'll take this screw out right here and I'll be able to access the wires. And there's probably wire nuts under there, I'm guessing. Okay, so after opening that up, they're not wire nuts. These are also nice. So they use these things everywhere. And I'm simply gonna pull these wires out. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, disconnect all of this, get into the wiring, and then get it all reconnected. Okay, so I have the controller that came off of the AC that was already installed on here. And there's a few sensors in here. This one right here is the main one that I'm concerned about, where it says freeze sensor right there. But this one has a sensor that just sticks directly off of the end of it, so you don't need that freeze sensor to connect. Basically, we're just going to plug and play directly into this unit right here once we get our wires connected down here. So let's go ahead and get this one reconnected and installed back up on the unit. Then we should just be able to plug it in. Okay, so everything is connected properly. Neutral, ground, everything's tight. We're just going to stuff this back into this box right here, put the clamp back on the cable up here, and get this reinstalled up top. Okay, so that was easy enough, connecting the 3 main 110 wires, or for 110 power. This is going to be your anti-freeze. You see this gap right here? That doesn't matter. Why? Because this is return air. This is where air is getting sucked in, not blown out. So anything blown in there is not going to happen. It just doesn't blow anything in there. It gets sucked in. Right here is your seal around your register, basically what comes out. So this is what matters. This one doesn't matter in terms of where air is coming from. Now I could probably put some tape on here just to make this look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to trim this back a little bit, let this wire come out, and then I'll put some flashing on there. Okay, so here's the new panel. I'm not going to install it yet until I test the system out. There's your 2 controls, and looking up here, I have them both in place. I got my flashing tape down there as well just to cover up this little area. We're going to go ahead and turn it on, and we're going to see if we get power to the unit after I turn the breaker on, of course. Okay, so I'm at the breaker box. I'm going to go ahead, turn power on to the AC. Let's test it out. Okay, so here are my power and ground wires that come to the AC unit to be able to power the thermostat, and here are the wires that go out to the thermostat. So we're going to go and kick the unit on. Hopefully we don't have any issues at all. If I look at the panel here, rotating it all the way over is going to turn it on cool. So let's check that out. All right, so we know the fan kicks on. Fan's on high. All right, now it should kick on. Okay, so the compressor just kicked on. It's definitely blowing colder air than the air that's outside of this space. Very good. That was super quick. Let's go ahead and shut it off, get that covered up, get the panel back on it, and wrap this thing up. Okay, so we are done, and everything looks really good. I just have to put the little caps on back here. Everything is working perfectly. Very good. Turn that off. So yeah, this was a super easy to do it yourself type of modification. If for some reason you have to do this modification yourself, I'm not saying that you need to put manual controls on your air conditioning unit, because if you have a thermostat, why? But this specific unit wasn't connected to the thermostat in a way that made sense. So we went ahead and just changed it and put a new cover on it with control panels. So I want to give a big shout out to the folks over at Forest River Surveyor. When I told them, you know, what I was dealing with, they were really quick to say, well, let's get you the right part so we can make sure that this works the way you need it to work. And now we're ready to go. So super happy with what we did here. I think it's definitely going to help us for whenever we do the testing. A lot of folks commented on the fact that, well, not a lot, but a few commented on the fact that, you know, we're trying to focus on being weight conscious. So we eliminate a 50 amp cable and we went with a 30 amp to 50 amp adapter. Why would we do that if we have 2 ACs in here? Well, the reality is that AC is going to be the one doing the bulk of the work. And this AC right here really isn't going to be used, or vice versa. We may use this AC and not that AC. It just really depends on the season, what we're doing. But the goal here wasn't to have an RV that's always running 2 ACs. The goal here was we're really going to use one, but if we really get into a hot spell where we need to test if both of them are truly going to cool this space down, we have that capability. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and we'll be back to talk to you again very soon.